know how I do.
Amounts of rifling. However, Song of the Siren disjointed the fight and came back in favor of Fnatic.
And welcome back. Game number 3 of our leadoff best of 3 of the day. It's VP Polar taking on Alliance in the front end of a VP Polar doubleheader. They're going to be meeting Cloud9 immediately following the conclusion of this series. But speaking of, we're going to Game 3. So this one going the distance to kick off our Western Division. And Game 1, very competitive, about an hour-long game. Game 2, not so much. Alliance flat out drafting VP Polar and outplaying them as well. That leads us to here, and in what could be Goldblack's last appearance, not necessarily this series, but at least today, very likely to be his last, if not one of his last appearances playing for Virtus.Pro Polar, as Na'Vi, his new squad, is currently facing off against Team Tinker in the D2CL finals at DreamHack. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, to break down the draft and lend his insight and analysis, not just today, but all throughout D2L play. Welcome in once again, Trouf, and well, Polar likes their tanky heroes, man. They lead with another Death Prophet pick. This is going to be the 3rd game in a row to end up having Lil on him. And Medusa, the 2nd pick for them. Meanwhile, the Alliance, well, they go with 2 heroes they're known for playing well, the Bat and the Naga.
Bat and the Naga seems to suit Alliance quite well. And actually, in response to a Medusa pick, Naga's actually not too bad now that I think about it, just because you're naturally probably going to be building the Diffusal Blade anyway, and any kind of hero that uses mana burn effectively, like Anti-Mage, Naga Siren, Nyx Assassin, are quite good counters to Medusa in the later stages of the game, actually all throughout the game. So it's like 1, they already like the Naga, 2, it works well against the hero that they just picked. So
right.
I think that's pretty nice for Alliance.
Well, yeah, and it gives them just an excellent ability to scale. I mean, you see a Medusa, and I don't know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on her. I feel like she is still really underrated based on how good the hero is. I mean, she's a hard farmer, and she needs a lot of farm to really come into her own. But to tell you the truth, the power of her ulti when she's put with the right team and you're not relying on her for a whole hell of a lot, she can just show up in a fight and turn it. Both figuratively and literally, using her ultimate. Very tough to bring down. Not the easiest gank target because of how survivable she is, especially if you have a lineup that can make space elsewhere, which is what a Death Prophet's good at doing. But like you said, the Naga works really well to counter her just at the most basic level. And having the Bad Rider as well just allows you to play a very aggressive game of Dota. So in the front end of the draft, I feel like both teams are really playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I think the Stone Gaze is such a good ability, and I think the problem that some people can run into with this hero is not using the ability liberally enough. I think they're a little bit scared to use it. When, if anything, even if you don't hit them by actually creating them into stone and getting the extra physical damage, it's still a 50% slow for 6 seconds. It's an insane slow in a very large 1,000 radius AoE. So it's just in that aspect, it's a very, very good ability with a relatively low cooldown. It's only 90 seconds. It's not something very long like DP's ulti, which is now back up to, oh my god, it's 145. I thought it was 120, as it once was, but now it's 145. So And I think as long as you prioritize the correct item build too, I think she is a very good carry.
Oh yeah, and well, like you said, and honestly, and this is another question to toss to you. So far as how you build her out, there are a variety of ways in terms of how you want to build her, skill wise, ability wise. I mean, a Mystic Snake seems to be for the most part forgone in a lot of cases now. How do you feel about it? I feel like she's actually a really strong laner that can adapt to most situations just based on the flex that her skills give her.
I've always been on the boat of maxing Mystic Snake. I think it's a really good ability. I think that people kind of overlook it sometimes and think, oh, I can farm so fast with split shot and just split shot. They buffed mana shields to just get split. But I think that Mystic Snake actually gives you more of a lane presence, and that's one of the things that Medusa lacks in the early game is lane presence. It not only does it have a good nuke, it's kind of like similar to even a Death Prophet if you think about it. Just attack the range creep once or twice, attack another creep once, spam out, and then rinse repeat. Bottle Crow if you need to. If you are going to run a mid. I don't think Medusa's going to go mid here, but I'm just saying if he was or she was, that's kind of how you'd play it. So I think maxing the Mystic Snake is just the most safe build. You can actually farm stacked with it relatively fast because it's only 11-second cooldown. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, for Alliance, they've got a team that's going to be phenomenal at making things happen across the map. The Naga Siren one would imagine is going to be hard farmed with the Mirana most likely. Even if she gets some early farm priority, she's going to want to be very, very active with this team, especially in conjunction with a Crystal Maiden and a Bad Rider who are just so good, in the first 10 levels of the game for themselves anyway, so long as they stay on par with levels. But Polar, adding the puck in, I actually feel like is a wonderful pickup. Gives him some much-needed ranged initiation. I mean, you've got good abilities and good ways to start fights and good overall abilities just so far as big 4-on-4, 5-on-5 team fights go, but they didn't have a good way to get into the fight. And it's also, very nice to have a puck who, even if the Naga catches most of your team with Song of the Siren, Puck, if he reacts quickly enough, can still blink and land a nice Waning Rift to turn that around a little bit once the song drops as well. There's that little bit of grace time. Whenever you're still invulnerable, but you do have a very quick moment of reaction. So works well not just to get into fights, but to also try to reset the fights as much as you possibly can anyway. But I love Crystal Maiden and Mirana together. Those two as a roaming tandem are about as deadly as it gets, and if you end up putting them in lane, not necessarily want to say you want to aggressive them to start, but you can rotate them to where they're needed, and unless you're ready for it, you're going to get punished very heavily.
It's so funny to see Crystal Maiden picked up more and more in the scene, just because I feel like we just had this conversation like a week and a half ago about why isn't Crystal Maiden coming back? Where is she gone? She does more damage than any support in that early stage of the game.
Yeah,
she's very slow, but yeah, it's fun to see her come back. I thought Nyx would have been a great pickup here for Alliance, but it did get banned out last phase. Excuse me, by Virtus.Pro Polar. So good against Medusa. Very good against Skywrath Mage. We actually saw EG pick it up in the final game against Medusa and Starladder, and it was very, very effective. So, not going to add that for mid, or if they wanted us to support. Panda is actually the last ban out, and oh my god, so they are definitely going with the mana burn issue.
Oh yeah. Anti-Mage, just choose a Medusa, man. Like, if you can keep the Anti-Mage even remotely close to being on par with farm, or more importantly, I mean, it's so often it seems like it's easy to get locked into the idea that you build Anti-Mage one way. You go Treads, Battle Fury, and then build whatever immediate next item you need based on what you're up against, and then you just go fat at the end. You end up getting a heart, you end up getting a butterfly, you end up, going that direction. But you can actually, in this game in particular, with the early combat potential of a bat, with how good at roaming the map and pressuring the Medusa, the Crystal Maiden, and Mirana are going to be, I feel like this is a game where we could see the Anti-Mage not necessarily sell out in terms of going pure out-and-out fighting build early, but if he wanted to do that, he would actually be able to go toe-to-toe with this entire lineup really well. And guess what? Spirit Breaker, the last pickup for Polar, and Golblack going to be handling the big blue terrors. So that in and of itself going to be a blast.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Spirit Breaker since the changes from 6.82. I love the cooldown reduction on the charge. It's one of my favorite things. It feels like it's always constantly up. But yeah, so yeah, I thought this is what they would actually do. I thought it was going to be a Mirana mid. And instead of just getting very, very, very greedy with a Naga farming mid and an anti-mage farming bottom, why not have Naga support? It's a very, very good support, and put something more active mid, like a Mirana. Not going to do that well in mid, per se, like 1v1, especially if it is going to be a puck, actually. No, it's going to be the Death Prophet. But you can get very, very aggressive, even just get some runes, run around, throw some arrows, and if you connect, then you're in a very good spot. So I like the decision to have a Mirana mid.
Yeah, I dig it too. And the nice thing about that, you know, Mirana, unless you're really relying on her to be like a carry-off carry, which I honestly don't think Alliance needs to do this game. I mean, you can always try to transition a Naga into a semi-carry role late game as well. But, you know, whenever you have a hero like that in mid, you can get her, you know, level 6, level 7, level 8, you know, just see what you can do. If she's standing up well, maybe she lingers a little bit and continues to take gold and farm. But then you can rotate her out and start making things happen elsewhere on the map, and then rotate in whatever heroes need to play catch-up. You can put Animage there if he's maybe not farming as well as you'd like. You can put the Bat there if the jungle happens to be under threat a lot. You know, it's nice to have those kind of mid heroes who are going to give you value just with an early, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes in mid without having to sit there for a long, long time and really dedicate themselves to farming and staying on top like, say, a Death Prophet or a Razor very often does. So either way, the good luck half funds are out, and both teams look like are going to take a cautious approach to this Game 3 early seconds. How about we take a look at who's handling who? It's going to be Misery playing on the Crystal Maiden on the side of Alliance. Okay, going to be handling the Naga Siren. Loda farming the Anti-Mage, no surprise there. 8mother playing on the Mirana. He's been having an up-and-down day, but for the most part has looked all right. Admiral Bulldog is going to be on the Bad Rider, and right now Bulldog is actually sitting near mid by himself, and he didn't get boots first, so it looks like they might be changing the script, flipping the script a little bit. And we can see Illidan actually toggling the mana shield. Goldblack's going to be caught by an arrow. They're not going to have enough damage to kill him, I don't think. There's going to be the bounty rune taken, so Goldblack will have to chew on a tree and suck his thumb a bit, but he'll be all right. But yeah, they're actually going to be running Bulldog in mid on this, even though 8mother has been running a lot of mid lane. He will be taking the Mirana out into the off lane with the support Ake. And it's going to be Loda down at bottom with Misery. Other side, Goldblack, as we saw, is playing on the Spirit Breaker. He's backing on up to base. The Medusa going to be farmed by Illidan. It's going to be Puck, played by Phobos down here in this off lane. They're going to have their support once again. Going to call him X, playing on the Skywrath Mage for the second time in this series. And, of course, in mid for the third game in a row, it's going to be Lil, playing on the Death Prophet in mid.
Yep, and actually Goblak has to go all the way back to heal, so that's kind of annoying for him. He'll probably charge up top and see if he can find an opening. Bat Rider in mid is actually very good on Radiant, especially because even if you aren't able to get that much in lane, which usually you are, as he's got nice 3 CS for himself already, you can stack and just go to the jungle if you need to. So it's actually much more effective on Radiant than it is on Dire, which I thought I was going to say, but I never see Admiral Bulldog play mid, just so I didn't really cross my mind that much. But yeah, he's doing good for himself.
A little bit of sloppy play down at bottom from both teams, actually. We saw Loda and Misery try to come out. Misery was hiding in the side shop for a long time over there and tried to come out on Goldblack, and it was not well timed. The creep wave spotted him, but the charge was already on from Goldblack, who was charging out. They got some damage done to Loda, but Goldblack ended up eating a bit more damage on the return than I think he would have liked. Either way, no first blood. And Loda right now is not CSing very well. He's sitting at 2 CS right now, so
he's got a lot of a wave coming though. This is 5 creeps, so if he hits all these, he'll be at what, 7 and 2 if he gets all of them. So it'll be fine. The one thing I worry though about VP Polar is that they're not connecting on ganks with the Spirit Breaker. This hero is really just bad in lane. Like his auto attack animation is horrible. Oh, he gets a haste rune actually, so that actually might be a very good opening into finding something. But just straight up laning, like trying to harass and lane with auto attacks, like he has good damage, but his animation is so terrible.
Oh, it is.
One of the slowest.
If they can catch Misery, he's dead to rights. And Misery is over pursuing here. He may be in some trouble. Yep, there it is. Goldblack gets the charge off with that haste rune. Going to be able to block him out a bit. Here comes Phobos. And yeah, he should end up getting caught. He's going to try to deny himself. There's going to be the orb. And yep, first blood drawn by Goldblack. So Misery playing aggressive, trying to zone them out, unaware of Goldblack's whereabouts, and ends up paying the price because of it. 1-0. Polar takes the lead.
Oh, the creep still actually get pulled over there to the left side. He tried to get him back, but kind of annoying. Nonetheless, Loda, he's actually got a little bit of good form.
Skywrath going to end up dropping as Alliance gets the counter punch in. Illidan being body blocked by Ake, And Misery's there with the Frostbite, but able to TP away before any extra damage can be done. This is going to leave Loda down by himself at bottom. And he did make up most of his CS there. He's up to 12 and 5, so not near perfect, but certainly near the top. But Gold Black, with the benefit of that first blood, is going to be able to be an influence on this map. And I really want to see how they put him to use. Like right now, keeping him in lane, making sure he gets his levels makes sense. But I don't think this is going to be a hero they want to just keep in lane for a long, long time. They also want to try to find ways to pressure Loda. And I want to see how they want to go about that too.
Well, with Crystal Maiden rotating top, I think it frees up this bottom lane a lot more. They know that Crystal Maiden was top. Goblak can actually hit him a couple times and just be a little bit more aggressive in this lane if he needs to. And it's going to hinder Loda's farm, so the rotation of CM, while he did get net 1 kill, wasn't able to get the second one onto the Medusa. Nice TP, by the way. That was a really good, quick reaction from him, from Illidan. But yeah, it's going to free up a little bit of space here for Puck. And essentially now what we have is a Puck 1v1 matchup against Anti-Mage. And Puck is really, really good in 1v1 matchups.
Yep. Ake has made his way down now. Loda actually tried to self-pull and ended up missing it. He's going to go. And let's see. Where are you heading to, Gold Black? Looks like they want to try to catch someone. They got Lil here in near the rune spot. He gets off a Crypt Swarm, and the charge is going to be there. Buys him time. They're going to turn this around. Misery's going to end up dropping, and Ache Mother has to make a run for it. 7 seconds until he can charge again, and Gold Black not willing to give up the Ghost. Looks like he will not over-pursue, but now Bulldog got silenced. Very fortunate for him. He had just activated Firefly just before Skywrath Mage got off the seal. And, I mean, that was a matter of a couple hundred milliseconds. If he gets silenced before he activates Firefly, he's dead there. So, nonetheless, Polar not only bailing out one of their own, but getting a kill on their own. Ake's once again being charged as Gold Black wants to find his way back in the lane. We'll see if he's actually going to let it complete or not.
Nah, he'll cancel it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the great things is you saw up there in the top river is that the range or the radius of him charging in with the greater bash is so large. I actually didn't even think it was going to hit the bottom there, but it's bigger than I even thought, and it still hit him in collateral and able to save the DP and get a counter kill off of it. So making some good early rotations despite him having to go back to heal right at the start.
Lotus picked up his Ring of Health, so most likely the Battle Fury on the way. I still think I would like to see him go with and some kind of a mid-game item, even if he transitions as normally.
Loda mid-game? Are you serious?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It's probably a damn good point. Loda plays single-player Dota. He plays Minecraft for the first 20 minutes. But, I'm just kidding, by the way. Loda's a phenomenal player, very versatile in what he can do.
He is very good. He's really impressed me, actually, in the last month or so.
Yeah.
With all the recent tournaments, ESL, Star Ladder, I've really been impressed with his play as of late.
Bounty Room picked up by Phobos. We'll bottle it away. Bulldog, in the meantime, has gone to the jungle and is doing his business. That leaves Ape Mother all alone up at top and mid. As we mentioned, I like it when we see this. And we were talking about the pod, but Bat's the same way. He can go into the jungle and it's just like, okay, Misery, you're a little under-leveled. Let's go get you a level while Bulldog's in the jungle. It just works really well in terms of efficiency and making sure you're not going to wind up with a very top-heavy lineup, which sometimes you want it, but for the most part, you want everyone to get a little bit of something, especially when it's a Crystal Maiden, who is just so valuable. She's got a 1-1-1 build, by the way, and I want to see where her second point goes.
Yeah. I know, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, bad. Yeah, he's got such good farm under his belt right now. He can just go back to mid if he wants to. And he got Crypt Swarmed, and it took half his HP. So I'm like, okay, maybe going back mid is not the right idea, because that did a lot of damage to him. Despite him actually having some decent HP, 9-10 max, this max Crypt Swarm just does so much damage. So he's got to be a bit careful about it. Ape Mother and Misery, though, are wrapping around. This could be a very easy kill if he stays for the next wave. Wow, yeah. He's very aggressive, and he might die. Although Bulldog needs to be careful. Okay.
Yep. Frostbite to lead. Arrow on the mark. And don't think there'll be too much of an issue as they clean him up. Tanky as he is, not that survivable. 2-2. Alliance gets another one on the board. Phobos, in the meantime, is pulled back out of bottom, and they're going to go on Gold Black. There's the ensnare. Loda's right there. He did get the charge off. That bought him a little bit of time. Here comes 2 TPs in immediately. So Gold Black unable to be focused. And Phobos, they're in time. They actually sent 2 again. They're stand-in, our Skywrath Mage player, X. And we'll see if he wants to hang around. Ake's coming up on level 5, so he's not in horrible shape. Anti-Mage has once again fallen off in terms of farm a little bit. He's running at about 10 CS less, so right around 400 or 500 gold less than the Medusa.
Yeah, but I think his effectiveness this game is actually going to be much higher than that, which is something you don't normally think of with an anti-mage versus a Medusa or a hero like that. Like, he's going to be much more effective. It's just because the nature of how these heroes work against each other. Like, anti-mage is so good against Medusa for being able to burn that mana. It's almost like you do kind of double damage in this sense.
Bulldog's got Lil lassoed up. Second kill in just about as many minutes.
There's a charge bottom as well.
Down at bottom, looks like if they can get loaded, this will be a huge kill. They end up giving up Lil. Oh, Moonlight Shadow kept him alive. Wonderful play and good communication and reaction for 8mother to pop the ulti and keep Loda alive. He was, I mean, looking at him now, he's got less than 100 HP. There's no way he was more than 30 HP from death right there. So good gank attempt, but Alliance comes out ahead.
Yep, very, very nicely done. Yeah, so, I was going to mention that it was a very early Blink Dagger for the Batrider, and he's still continuing to do stacks, and I think that's one of the great things that Batrider players can do is that, you can have your Blink Dagger and you feel all well and good, but it's really when you hit the Force Staff where you can really start taking over a game.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important to not get caught up in the fact that you've farmed well enough at this point, but keep extending that farm and getting that next better item, which is the Force Staff. So he's well on his way for that.
Well, that's kind of the whole pace and the whole feel of the hero is you get your blink, and then if you're successful whenever you do come out of the jungle and go to make something happen, you get a gank, suddenly the other team, it's one thing for that enemy hero to be down 20, 30 seconds or whatever, but it's really hard for them to reset off of that because now you have a hero who wants to play a little catch-up, wants to stay safe, they don't want to be rolling the dice and risk getting further behind, so that gives you time to go back into the jungle, and so long as you're just being very efficient with your rotation in and out of farming the jungle stacks, you really can, like you said, dictate the pace of the game, and then with the Force Staff, forget about it, man. You completely dictate the game if you can have that up by 15 minutes or so. And that's not that uncommon. I mean, hell, right now he's got his blink, couple of good fights and a tower down, and he'll be very close to having the Force Staff done. And it looks like they want to make something happen at bottom. Gold Black right there, and Phobos is going to have eyes on it from down below. Got the coil off. And let's see if they can turn this around. Gold Black staying right out in front. There's going to be the ensnare onto him, and they're going to be able to bring him down. Lil ends up showing up there at the end, but it doesn't matter as they should get away scot-free this time. There's Skywrath Mage hanging around the bottom and not wanting to re-engage, so that fight potential out of Alliance showing itself again. They now double up, VP, 4-2.
That ensnare was not even half a second after the charge was executed from Goblak. Very nicely timed there by Aki. I don't know if it was intentional, but I do know that he was working around it. There is a TP up top. You see a charge actually onto 8mother, so we could see some possible aggression. Illidan's completely out of mana, though, so he's not very useful in this engagement.
Let's see if Gold Black, would have been a little aggressive. Dive in tier 2 into an anti-mage. And a Mirana at this stage, usually best to play back. Taking a look at the gold efficiency, we can see it has been Polar's game, but the last couple of engagements, Bulldog being successful, putting that Blink Dagger to use, has turned the gold lead into their favor, just slightly though, at about 500. The experience also moving in their direction as well. Transitioning from here to 20 minutes, and from the early game into the mid-game, Trout, what do you think is going to be key? Give me a couple points, couple bullet points for both sides.
Alliance, I think, as long as they are able to minimize deaths and maybe even get some one-for-one trades, they will be fine in the late game. They have no problem going late game. They're comfortable going late game, so slowing down the game for them and just getting one-for-one trades is good for them. I hear a charge, but it was canceled, I think, immediately.
Yep, it was.
For VP, on the other side, though, I think they need to get stuff done. I think that they're the ones from the gun. I think getting a blink onto the puck is probably priority number one. As yet, there is a charge here onto Misery.
Coil spent as well. Easy kill. Crystal Maiden.
That's a lot for him, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Crystal Maiden is not really the hero you want, because this was an extended smoke. They smoked here, they wandered down to here, then they came back up and finally got him. But like you said, they spent so much on it, and that was a lot of wasted time out of all five. Well, 4 of the 5, I guess. I didn't Medusa doing her thing. But still, yeah, I mean, not bad, but they need more.
Yeah, I don't think you want to... It's not only that they expended the coil, but they expended, as you mentioned, all the time invested. And just decision-making time to decide where they want to go and what they want to gank. Not worth it at all. Top tower being pressed by 8mother. His farm, he's only got 35 CS, but he's kind of been running around. Started up top in an unfavorable lane. Okay, if they're able to get this bottom tower, it'd be good. There's a DD actually just popped onto Lil, so that's going to be a nice trade for them.
They still have Exorcism up as well if they wanted to try and go fly. And I actually wouldn't mind that tremendously. They're going to end up getting Gold Black in middle, though. Misery used the ulti. There's going to be the lasso on the Lil just as he lands, too. Decision to keep coming into a hot LZ, blowing up in his face. As that's a 2-4-0. They got the tier 1 at bottom, and guess what? 8 Mother cleaned up their own tier 1. So not the best little sequence there, and honestly, Polar feels like they're losing momentum. And again, Bulldog has been super effective, man, and that's what we were saying. 14, 15-minute 4-staff, guess what? He's right on the cusp of it now.
Yeah, and I just don't think that Medusa will be able to contest in the late game against Alliance's team. Not so much the team as in like team fight, but with equal farm as there's a charge actually with an extra bash on top of that, but just kind of like giving him a little lovely friend tap. But I don't think that VP Polar can contest in the late game. Like if Naga transitions, as we've seen Nagai do.
Naga.
I don't know if that's correct, but and Loda, just the hero composition is. They're going to need pickoffs and they're going to need a blink on this puck, and they're going to need better execution than just on a Crystal Maiden.
Yep, they have to get Gold Black to 6. Without having his ulti, he is just nowhere near as valuable as he normally would be. And Misery, Midas Gaming, son. Picks one up for the CM. I actually really like Midas on her. 8 Mother landed an arrow. Yeah, they're going to get a free one onto the Skywrath Mage. Gold Black gets a little bit of D-Ward action. There's an ensnare, and 8 Mother did manage to get off the Moonlight Shadow. They're probably going to want to reinitiate. Let's see who they want to grab. Is it going to be Lil? Is it going to be Phobos? Arrow catches Phobos. Bulldog got silenced. He spotted out. Gold Black turns around, and looks like might have been some miscommunication there.
Yeah.
As I think... It looked to me like Bulldog was the one on the page of Let's Go, and everyone else was kind of hemming and hawing, and he ends up dead because of it.
Yeah, that was very strange. I think that could have just been a free, get out of jail free card, but Bulldog decided he had other plans and wanted to do something. Don't think that was the consensus, as you mentioned, from the rest of the team, but okay, all right. Well, nice little freebie there for VP Pull, and Misery could be in some trouble unless he gets some help, which doesn't look like help is coming. Misery will bite the dust as here comes a TP, but it's very late from Naga, and obviously just used his Song of the Siren. So a little bit of sloppy play here coming out from Alliance. They also lose a tower top, could lose a tower mid as well. So, all right, well, they're getting the ball rolling, I guess.
Well, let's see if they can get something going on the back of it. They're going to manage to lasso the Skywrath Mage. Lil only has a little bit of time left on Exorcism. In the meantime, they're going to bring down the Skywrath easily. They may give Bulldog away for it, though, taking a lot of damage from the Exorcism Ghost. In the meantime, Lil did get caught and stunned. It's snared now, but no follow-up. Down at bottom, Gold Black. I was watching Gold Black. Nope, didn't have the mana to charge anyway. Thought he might try to come back into the fight, but not the case. They end up getting Loda. So he drops in exchange for the Skywrath Mage. But they did get the tower. I don't know, like... Polar is taking objectives and getting kills. I feel like they need to be a little more lopsided at this stage of the game, though. I feel like they need to be getting more free kills and free objectives, while Alliance is doing an excellent job of making them work for absolutely every inch.
Well, I agree, but they're on a good start. Like they've, I would say not more than 2 minutes ago, maybe 3 minutes ago, this puck had like 1,700 gold in brown boots, and now it's 16 minutes, and he has blink and face boots at 600 gold. So those little bit of sloppy plays between Batrider dying when he shouldn't have, the tower going down mid, the tower going down top, Misery dying, Loda dying. Very, very good swing for VP Polar, and now Medusa, which is a very curious build on Saint and Yasha, which I actually kind of like this game because is he stuck? I think Gold Black is stuck. Oh, he'll be fine in about 7 seconds, but I actually kind of like this build because I don't think he can contest an anti-mage in the late stages of the game. I think he just wants to do something that gets him fighting and fighting now.
Right.
And I think that Saint Yasha does that.
Battle Fury is done on Loda. Second item, what do you think for him?
I think standard. Yeah. I think you can go standard here. And just do your standard thing, get the Manta up. It's going to burn mana even quicker for Medusa.
I'd love to see a Vlad's, though. I would love to see a Vlad's on him.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the Vlad's on anti-mage. I know there's some schools of thought that say, no, just rush the Manta afterwards, but I think that Vlad's actually helps you farm a lot faster in the long run. Unless you have a hero that naturally buys a Vlad's on your team, like a Lycan or a Wisp that can get it relatively quickly.
Oh. Lasso on the Gold Black. Arrow on the mark. Well coordinated. And they get a free one. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I was just checking the gold graph. I mean, Alliance has given up, like you said, on the back of a few deaths, about 2,000 gold worth of lead they had generated. But it's okay because they have Loda, who's mostly farming. You know, the Crystal Maiden went Midas, so she's not... Oh, hang on. Song of the Siren. Let's see if they want to follow it. Arrow should be ready, and here it goes.
Or?
Nope, canceled it. Never mind. Thought better of it, and not liking the way it looked and it felt. They're going to try to retreat. There's going to be the Crystal Maiden caught by Lil's Yules, and Misery ends up feeding a free one? Yes. Feeding a free one, as VP makes up a little bit more ground. And yeah, that's fine. I mean, if Alliance is going to continue to play sloppy, Polar is going to keep that door wide open for themselves. And now they're going to go right into the Roche Pit, too.
Yeah, not the most crisp play. I don't know, maybe if he saw, like, he had, like, 1 or 2 seconds left of cooldown on his arrow, and he just didn't feel comfortable, like, trying to force it when the song was wearing out. I know that sometimes that happens, but whatever the case, it seemed kind of disjunct, and Loda's actually in a little bit of trouble. If he gets silenced out, he's dead. He's dead.
Good
this is
kill.
why maybe rushing Manta before Vlad's is going to be appropriate. Just being able to get out of the silence from Skywrath.
Yep. That's an excellent point, and honestly, I hadn't even thought about it, but I mean, they're stand-in, and we're going to continue to call him X because I have no idea. I'm sure Pingy knows, so if you want really that hungry for knowledge, you can jump on his stream and see how he pronounces it. But he's been okay today. I mean, he hasn't been a huge playmaker, but he has done his job for the most part. But his role in this game is so integral. Whenever you're talking about locking down an anti-mage, locking down a Mirana, locking down a Bad Rider, who are all going to be wanting to maneuver in and out of these fights, he has to be on point. And now we're going to have a lasso onto Gold for the return kill. Misery got off the ulti, but there was the coil from Phobos to follow it. Gold Black's still up and fighting, and here comes Lil. They're going to be able to clean up 1, make it 2. So that aggressiveness from Alliance blowing up in their face that time. And for the last 3 minutes, man, it has been all Polar. Arrow hit a creep. Nice attempt from 8 Mother, and he was already turned and running away before the arrow even was seen by Polar. But yeah, man, like the last 2 or 3 minutes, Polar has just been making up a ton of ground. Alliance had a little bit of a win there, but everything back in charge of Polar right now, and they're really on their way to the biggest lead we've seen from either side this game. Yeah,
and before this ward that was just placed right there, there was not a single ward from either team. And he actually is going to go for the Vlad, so I'll talk about that in a second. But there wasn't a single word from any team. They just knew. They just felt that that we should sit behind this hero at this given time, and it ended up paying off dividends. So nice awareness from VP Polar and especially the Puck. But yeah, he does decide to go for the Vlad. So this tells me that he completely wants to dodge any fights whatsoever. He's going to play it much more safely and just farm in the jungle primarily. Because you can actually farm a lot faster with Vlad's, but obviously I mentioned the Manta just because it is good to get out of the silence.
Yep.
But this tells me that, yeah, much more defensive posture.
Misery's being charged, and that might just be Gold Black. Yep, just getting into position as he cancels it halfway. Gold Black, I feel like, could be a little bit more active. Honestly, most of the work Gold Black's done is when they try to kill him. I mean, he's had a couple of good charges here and there, but for the most part, it's when they try to jump on him and he's got teammates around and he's able to charge and do his thing to turn it around. And I think they could continue to pick them apart a little bit. If they can get a nice aggressive ward into Alliance's jungle, they might be able to make something happen with a smoke, get the Skywrath into place, let Gold Black lead with the charge, and so on. But honestly, if they're going to play passive, I don't know that they mind. I mean, Illidan has that Aegis. He's picked up an ulti orb. We'll see if he wants to go Scotty next. Wouldn't surprise me one little bit. What do you think?
I'm sorry, I was watching a charge that got canceled. For who?
For the Medusa. Next big item.
Ooh, boy. Well,
got the ulti orb.
See,
So
I mean,
Scotty,
Lincoln's would make a lot of sense. Just to not get hit by the Bat Rider lasso.
Yep.
Or at least disjoint his maneuvering of where he's going to have to Force Staff at least to waste it. Because you don't want a lasso if you have to expend your Force Staff for Lincoln's. It just takes away from so much of the hero. Actually, there's another charge. Can't really see on who.
Caught. Ake has Song of the Siren ready. They're going to have to lock him down. Not going to have time. Ake's still standing there, hanging around. Bulldog actually got caught and turned to stone. And now he's going to be able to make it away. Now, Coil thrown out, and they're going to follow it up with a lot of damage. 8 Mother and Ake in trouble. 8 Mother, ooh, nice. Kited it out, barely able to survive. Bulldog not likely to be. Lucky enough, Force Staff to the low ground, and Gold Black had nothing for him. Thought maybe he could have ulted from the high ground, but not the case. Either way, Alliance loses 2, and that was a good end for them. That could have very easily been a 4-0. And with some good play and some help from each other, they managed to keep 2 of those alive in 8 Mother and the Bat. Good patience from 8 Mother, by the way, waiting out that coil. 12-9, and Polar on the warpath as they are charging down mid, ready to take the tier 2. Load up, being charged by Goldblack. And they're going to go for this, I think. Yeah, they're blinking aggressively. He's got another blink now. And Goldblack will catch up to him. The puck's not far. He's going to get the ulti off. Got him. Waning Rift on money. This is a huge kill if they can get it. Got a little bit more time. Got him. That last bash, the difference maker. In the meantime, they've re-engaged in mid. Illidan left by himself. And just look how tanky he is. They're going to get him. But it's just an Aegis. And now Goldblack's ready to come back in. Oh, if they group up, they're going to try to time up this arrow. There's going to be the ulti from Misery. And here he comes. Cleaning house and buying him time. And Snare has him locked down still yet. Goldblack can't do it alone. But Illidan's so tanky. He's buying time for the rest of the team to react if they want to come, but they don't. Thought maybe they TP to the tier 1 if they had the capability, but not going to be the case as Goldblack ends up dying as well. So that ends up being a 3-for-1 exchange on the back of that one fight for Polar in mid. They got the tier 2, but they ended up giving away a lot more than I think they would have liked to.
Bit of a YOLO play there by Goldblack. I don't think any business getting in there unless he got an extreme lucky amount of bashes. But yeah, that was kind of silly. I think he should just let Dusa die there and then be on his merry way. As it was a very nice kill up there bottom on Loda. So kind of bouncing back and forth. Very sloppy from both sides this game, I must say.
For sure.
Looked really good at the start for Alliance. They looked pretty crisp. And some very questionable plays, specifically around, quite honestly, the Bat Rider. There was kind of some weird stuff from him. Did manage to squeak out of there near his tier 3 tower when that last Arcane Bolt was trying to follow him, but was able to buy enough time to regen from the bottle before it actually hit him. You saw the power of the Stone Gaze there, though, that even if it doesn't proc, it's still good just keeping those heroes there with the immense 50% slow, and it is going to be a Lincoln Sphere for the Medusa.
Lincoln's, I like it. I dig it. Moonlight Shadow going to be used. Don't see why. But, yeah, looks like they're just... Did you see why they popped that there? Or was that Fat Finger?
No. It could have been a Fat Finger.
Yeah, not the end of the world. Illidan continuing to pile it on, though. Like you said, the Lincoln's basically done now. And now they're going to go ahead and move out under cover of smoke. Roche is going to be up in about 2 minutes, give or take. And I really like that's one reason I love Vlad's pickup on Anti-Mage, is if you can make a little space for him, he could solo Roche very early and very early into the game. And if not solo him, at least do it with a little bit of help.
Yeah, sometimes just things that happen in the middle of a game kind of dictate your item progression too. Like, he might not have wanted to go for that, but...
Oh, hang on, bottom. They've got Lil as well as Phobos in some trouble. They're kiting this out very well, though. The coil did go down. Misery's going to end up dead. Goldblack was charging in. Now he's going to be lashed onto a creep. Bulldog left behind as the reaction was there from Polar that time. And I'll tell you, man, this whole series, Smokes and trying to take these little skirmishes for Alliance have not worked out. I mean, even going back to game 1, they were having troubles with the same thing, and they end up giving up a lot of momentum. They were just getting things back in their favor. We're basically dead even in terms of gold right now. But they're going to be able to stop 8 Mother. Illidan's right there on him. Goldblack charging from the other corner of the map. And that'll keep vision on him at the very least. Ake's right there to help if needs be. This could get a little sideways if they're not very, very careful. Goldblack moving right past Ake. And, yep, 8 Mother shooting the arrow and stopping Goldblack in his tracks. So well played there.
At the very least, they are giving space to Anti-Mage every single time they feed like this.
Yeah.
The dynamic duo of Misery and Bulldog just running around and feeding, giving like space, screaming space for Loda, as he does have Manta completed. So that's very, very good for him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does decide to go for a BKB. It's not like what you want to go for an Anti-Mage. You obviously want Heart, but I do think that getting BKB is just going to make him invincible in these fights. So we'll have to see what he wants to do. If he's farming very, very fast, I would say probably Heart. If he's not farming too fast and they're kind of desperately needing to fight, I would say BKB.
I feel like there's going to be a timing window that's going to open up for Alliance in the next 5-10 minutes or so. And they have to execute through that. I think if we go ultra late, I like Polar's lineup a lot. Bulldog getting a free one on Lil. That's what they need. Here comes Goldblack and stopped himself. He was just about ready to YOLO in one more time. And he will go ahead and TP away to make sure he stays safe. Roshan is back up. So we'll see if Alliance wants to take a shot at that. Speaking of, we haven't talked a whole lot about Lil this game because he really hasn't been all that big of a factor. I mean, he's been a part of a handful of kills, sure, but he's died 5 times. And usually Death Prophet is one thing she's good at is keeping herself alive. Not the case today.
Or keeping herself farmed. Her farm is extremely low for what it normally is for Death Prophet. These plurals, man. And it looks like he's going to go for Scotty. Interesting stuff. I don't think Scotty is the build here. You have anti-mates blinking around. You have the Potom jumping around. You have the Bat Rider flying around, and your only target really is kind of the Naga and the Crystal Maiden, who's already fed 8 times this game. I mean, he's fed a lot, but he does have a Midas and a Blink, so at least getting something for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think Scotty's the correct item build here, but I could be wrong.
What about the Blade Mail and the Spirit Breaker? That's a little curious to me as well. Like,
I think that's fine.
I mean, it's... I don't know. Like, it's not that I mind it or I think it's bad. Is there not a better item they could have potentially picked up here?
I don't think BKB is actually that good. Like, it's normally BKB is the go-to item, but you can get stopped by Ensnare, you can get stopped by the Bat Rider Lasso if you need to. I mean, I guess BKB would be the only other item, but Firefly is very, very good to just kind of soak up all that damage and then pop your Blade Mail. So there's going to be a Roshan attempt here. Is there a song nearby? Is the question. They might be able to steal this with a nicely timed song.
No BKBs available. Not a one.
They should definitely go in with Song Egg right now.
Yep. Oh, is it on the ground? No, he got it. Illidan picked it up, and Misery's going to end up dying if he's not real careful. One last auto attack tracks him down. They were off by mere milliseconds in executing the steal. Instead, Illidan grabs it. 8 Mother silenced late. That was a little mistimed. Got silenced a couple of times, as a matter of fact, but still not early enough to prevent the leap. But yeah, that is such a shame for Alliance. And then really, I mean, Polar had to know they were susceptible to that, and they just lucked out. Loda's going to be charged in the meantime, though. Silence is there from Lil, and Loda, in the middle of nowhere, does Manta out and will be able to make it back to safety. He's got 8 Mother and Ake there to run interference as needed. They could be in trouble, and there's going to be a 2-man coil. Phobos wants to follow it up. Waning Rift, 2. There's going to be the charge coming in. Ake's going to be Yulesed into the air. In the meantime, 8 Mother with a very well-positioned leap should be able to secure himself some safety with it. He's just going to TP right out. But they came in to help Loda, and unfortunately, I don't think Loda needed their help. All he needed to do was wait and then Manta, and he did. And they were there to run interference, but they ended up losing 1, almost 2. And the action is not going to cease as Bulldog now is the target. Picks up an Invis room, but it's not going to matter. Goldblack, I don't think, has any detection.
He does.
He does. He's got dust. Yep. So Bulldog dusted out. They're right there on top of him. Doesn't have his ulti, but now Loda comes in. He's using that Blade Mail. Lasso's been expended as well, and finishing him off with a nice Mana Void. Phobos is there with the rest of VP, however, ready to punish Bulldog if they can catch him. He's putting some distance down. One more shot. Ah, no. Actually, Yule's there by Lil. It's not going to matter as he ends up crashing in a heap. They're going to get the courier, though. And they had nothing on it, but 8 Mother still sniping the courier. And just absolute pandemonium across the map in every corner. Lotus split pushing in mid by himself. The rest of VP down in this jungle. They do have one aggressive ward here. Let's see if they want to collapse down onto mid. In the meantime, Phobos trying to run Loda off of the tower. They're moving in that direction. Looks like we might get a chance for a breather now, though.
8 Mother hasn't even died this game. Yep. Neither has the Puck. That's kind of interesting stuff right there. Doesn't have the greatest farm on the another arrow is going to hit the Dusa in mid. It's kind of annoying. It actually does like no damage whatsoever. There is a Yule's up onto the Potom, but again, a mistimed silence is going to make sure that he gets out just fine. He's being charged, but we'll see if Alliance wants to posture to fight this, if he even knows he's being charged. They're pinging something out. Yeah.
Right into a team fight. Arrow actually missed. He's going to go for it. Ake has Song, and we'll use it. Just going to stand.
They're just getting out.
Ooh. Cut it a little close. Very, very close call. It does manage to make it away, though. 14-18. Polar. Not in control of the gold lead, but in control of the pace of the game, at least it would feel. We're at 32 minutes in, Trout, and this is where I think the Medusa is going to start getting very scary. I mean, Load is in great shape, make no mistake. In terms of net worth, he's #1 overall, and not #1 by a little bit. But Polar does have a number of options to lock him down, silence-wise and everything else. I feel like the Medusa, who traditionally is a hero who does just want to stand and fight because of how tanky she becomes, is actually a little bit better suited to the late game unless Alliance makes something happen soon. There's going to be a flame break that knocks Goldblack out of his charge. Well played by Bulldog. There's going to be a coil that goes down, though, and Goldblack using that blade mail, trying to do what damage he can. The BKB's already been used by Bulldog. In the meantime, he does end up dying, and the rest of Alliance going to retreat. Eight Mother is headed to the north. Let's see if they can find him. Yep, they got eyes on him. Able to leap into the creeps. One Scotty shot, and there's the waning rift after the blink as Phobos secures that kill. So you end up going 1 for 1. They lose their Mirana in exchange for Goldblack.
And some tower exchanging too, I believe.
Yeah.
I know that Loda got one bottom. I think that one dropped top not too long ago. Yeah, the tier 2 just died there for them. So relatively even trade overall. And I like the decision by Illidan to go this kind of non-mana shield reliant build. If you notice, like the linkage isn't really there for extra mana. That's kind of one thing that people might assume, but it's there for the Batrider Lasso. Everything else is just kind of fighting build. He is not relying whatsoever on the mana shield because he knows that it's kind of a useless spell this game, just rendered by the draft. So this kind of fighting build and just more DPS and in your face, not relying on the mana shield build, I think is very, very appropriate for Dusa in this stage of the game.
Loda is large and in charge, has added a heart to his inventory now. So he's getting very close to 6 slotted. In the meantime, there's a tower deny on the tier 2 mid. How do you feel as we approach 35? I mean, we can talk about the metrics. Let's talk about item progression and talk about the position these teams have played themselves into. How do you think the next 10 minutes are going to play out?
More misery smoking with Bulldog and getting just wiped while Loda pushes some racks, something like that. No, I think it's going to be more of the same. I think both teams are kind of playing in a very interesting manner. Puck, he has a Scythe device, so that could change a lot of things. But the big key thing here, as there is a flame break here that's going to stop the charge from Goblak, so nicely played there by Bulldog. But I think the big key thing here is that no matter how farmed this Dusa seems to get, he can always be killed with a Batrider Lasso into a Manta from Loda. And he will die very, very fast. Does have a Butterfly, which is very, very good. And I don't think Loda's going to get an MKB, but still, I think the point still stands, and this is why Batrider is so good, is that in the late stage of the game, you can always get pickoffs.
Goldblack once again charging and showing his teeth, but not following it up. I feel like Alliance is in really nice shape right now. I definitely feel like the onus is on Polar to dictate things now, though. I feel like they've kind of run out of steam for a while there. They were turning gank attempts around. They were using Goldblack a bit more effectively after he caught up level-wise. Since then, Loda is getting very large very quick, and the Medusa is not keeping pace. He's almost $5,000 ahead in terms of net worth of her. So he's almost one full big item ahead of Illidan's Medusa, which really they just can't have.
Yeah, and just the anti-mage is just so much more mobile, too. That's one of the weaknesses of Medusa just in general. You're not able to move around the map quickly enough. You have no blink ability. You have some flash farming, but it's at the discretion of your movement speed, which isn't that, astounding.
Right.
Unless you went Boots of Travel, which wouldn't be bad this game at all. I think he's definitely going to need to get it at some point in the game, but doesn't have it right now, and as a result, we see this great disparity between the two net worths of him and the anti-mage.
Something we haven't really talked about is the Naga Siren did pick up a halberd. So they've got at least one good answer to the Medusa, aside from everything they've drafted and played themselves towards as well. So good item choice from him. And on the side of Polar, I mean, I just feel like they have to get more out of Goldblack. He is going to be getting a BKB now, at least one would think, as he has picked up an Ogre Club of his own. The Puck has a Scythe as well. So you're talking the Bash lockdown and 2 silences plus a Scythe that they have to try to isolate Loda. And the big issue, though, I think it's going to be the Naga Siren show, because they can't reliably jump Loda unless Ake is jumped as well. And I don't know that they're going to be able to do that, especially, never mind, he is level 12. I thought that was level 15. So still is just going to be level 2, so you're talking 2 minutes between instances of Song and the Siren. But once he hits level 16, if they haven't closed it out, it's going to be so hard with a 60-second cooldown.
If you get a Butterfly up onto this anti-mage, if he decides to skip anything like a BKB, which I think he should. I don't think he needs BKB now at this juncture. If he goes Butterfly, because just simply we never, ever see, and I would love to see the stats on this, ever see Naga picked with Anti-Mage. I don't know if ever. And if it happened, it must be very rare. But you can usually, or you can do some kind of shenanigans where you start pushing up as 4 or 5 up into a tier 3. Just throw the sleep and let the Anti-Mage blink to another lane. Just kill it. Oh, action.
Bulldog caught napping in the woods and punished by it as Gold Black charged in. The follow-up was there from Phobos. And we're getting to that stage where buyback matters. He does not have it. I don't know that it's going to matter much more. Nope, even Roche. This is actually kind of fortuitous for Alliance. Roche could have spawned by now, but has not. If he was up, it would have been free. And I don't know that they can actually go make a lot of this. And this is where, you know, and it's not just the composition. I mean, let's be honest. This is what Alliance does. They're just so good at keeping you away from objectives just by always having the lanes pushed, always being in rat position. And always making it so if you try to go and take a secondary objective after a pick like that, they're going to get something out of it as well.
Yep, and it is going to be the Butterfly for Loda, so I think that's the right decision for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying is like if they group up and push, actually, nope, Skywrath is going to be fine. Very high movement speed for him with the 4 staff, but they push his 5, and then the Song of the Siren just comes out. The Anti-Mage can just blink to another lane and pop the illusions. This is something you never see because you just never see Naga with Anti-Mage on the same team. Like, normally Naga does it for herself, but it's much easier now. We can just do it for a blinking hero that does the same thing effectively as you.
Oh, exactly. Both teams just taking their time. BKB's actually done on Misery. That's a pretty damn big deal. That means Gold Black is going to have to really be on point with getting on top of her if she begins to ulti in a fight that's slowed down and is all clustered. Because he's going to be really their lone option for trying to cope with that. But VP, I feel like they're losing ground every minute that goes by. And we can see it's kind of stabilized. Honestly, Gold and Experience are so close at 40 minutes that it's not super relevant yet. This Roche fight that's impending is going to be a big deal, though. And the BKBs are still not present, man. Like, at this point, yeah, never mind. Not even Gold Black. Gold Black's actually going for either an S&Y or a Halberd. One would imagine Halberd's the call. But they don't have any BKBs here whatsoever, so they can just try to song and steal this again.
Well, we'll see if they can time it. Last time was not very good. Anti-Mage just blows the Skywrath up.
Yep, they're going to come out and try to fight it. There's going to be BKB up on Bulldog. Bulldog trying to find himself a target, is yet to do so. Loda, in the meantime, is able to kite things out. Gold Black's going to be the one who's locked down, but the coil is there on the Bulldog. Song of the Siren is going off on the low ground. Arrow hits Lil, and Loda's going to go right to work. Lil, alive a little bit longer, just because of her ghost coming back in at the ceasing of the exorcism. Misery's going to end up dead, though. It's a 2-for-1 exchange thus far, and Alliance now has Illidan and company on the run. There's going to be the Yules tossing Loda up into the air. There's a waning rift to try to buy some time. Phase shifting as best he can. And able to blink. He's got to find somewhere to go. Does manage to make it into the woods. Bulldog's there, though, and didn't get him. Illidan skirting around the outside of the fight. Did manage to make it away to safety, but now with that Vlad's and with his team at his back, Loda ready to claim himself an Aegis and ready to claim a nice slice of cheese wherever happens to want it. And that might be the last major gasp that Polar had in terms of trying to dictate the pace. They're now going to have to go into defensive mode. Otherwise, you know, any big pick now, if they give up any other big fights, Alliance is just going to be able to capitalize so quickly with how well this Anti-Mage pushes.
Yeah, this Anti-Mage just made this Skywrath his bitch and just a non-factor. I mean, we talked about how Nyx Assassin is very, very good against Skywrath, but when you want to prioritize your ulti against the Skywrath, 1-2 punch with an illusion out, just hitting him, you die in a matter of 2 seconds, if that. And just took him, just eliminated from the fight right from the get-go. And then you're fighting 4v5 with a full Anti-Mage up with Butterfly and Heart. And you saw, like, there was a nice stun. It must have been an arrow or something because that DP was stunned forever.
No, it was an arrow. It was set up by the song. Okay,
yeah, nice setup there then. And he just went to town. So Loda hitting like a truck now. And yep, this is pretty scary for VP Polar. They desperately needed that Roshan.
Yep. And this, honestly, the Anti-Mage is so fat, and Illidan, they're going to go on him. If they can get the Aegis very quickly, there's going to be a lasso onto Phobos, but there was a Yules as well. Illidan comes in with the ulti, but the ulti from Misery doing good damage as well. He does end up dropping behind it. There was a coil down on the low ground. They're a little clustered right now. Exorcism back off cooldown and being used freshly. It's a 1-for-0 right now. Misery's the one who dropped. And the rest of Alliance will be happy to retreat. They may come back in, though, and this is the unfortunate thing. Whenever you have a Death Prophet and you're behind like this, they're just going to wait out your Exorcism. They know it's going to be on an extended cooldown, and now you are going to feel so defenseless in comparison. They also got the Medusa ult out, so 55 seconds until they have that to draw upon again. And I think Alliance is going to be more than happy to fight, especially when they have Song ready to go as well.
Yeah, well, that is the one good thing, is that it's only 55 seconds, where if you look at right in conjunction with the DP ulti, it's actually 60 seconds less right now, exactly. So it's not the longest cooldown in the world, so they have that going for them at least. There is a charge aggressively onto Aki. I don't think this is going to really work out, though. He's probably going... No, he wants to really push it to him.
Yep, doesn't have any detection. Bulldog's there. This is a feed, I do believe. They've got a team behind them. They're going to try to turn this around. They will be able to get Ake. Still overextended. And they do manage to make it work. In the meantime, though, Loda's going to be caught. The Mystic Flare's off the mark, unfortunately. There's going to be the second charge, but he's so tanky with that hard up. Able to blink and just keep going the work. He has Lil locked down. There's going to be the Yules to get him out of trouble. He Manta's out of trouble there as well. And in the meantime, Loda adding to his killing spree. We're going to see him Yules as he pops out. And Polar now on the runaway. Loda chasing him out. I hear Goldblack heading for somebody. In the meantime, 8 Mother manages to secure a kill. There is another coil expended. But 3 for 1. And who's got buyback? Doesn't look like it's the Puck does. Skywrath does not. And Illidan trying to use his ulti to just force them back and buy time. The Death Prophet does have it. They're probably going to have to use him now, I think.
Yeah, but is he going to have ulti? He's not going to have ulti from the 22nd, so... Well, there's the buyback from the Puck at the very least, so... Going to try to put up some kind of fight here.
Goldblack comes in to lead. There's going to be the Hex to lead afterwards. Loda, in the meantime, still has his Aegis, so he's playing very fearlessly. Bulldog coming in, uses his BKB, but he's going to be hit back by Goldblack. Goldblack able to help clean things up, so a little bit of a... That was another one of those situations. Look where the rest of Alliance was. I mean, yeah, they turned to run eventually, but if they wanted to initiate with Bulldog, use his BKB and get him in that fight, there should have been a team following. Instead, he ends up dying, and Polar, despite losing a tier 3, not out yet as they keep their rack standing.
They did use 2 crucial buybacks, though. Both the Puck and the DP bought back. DP bought back at like 20 seconds, too, so that really hurts. So she's not going to... I mean, she was already having a ridiculously hard time finding any kind of farm this game. Scotty, Yule's plate mail at 45 minutes in. That is so low compared to most DP. It's actually lower than the... actually, almost... the Crystal Maiden is actually kind of inching up there as far as net worth with the DP, just to put it in perspective. So not where he wants to be. Basher here coming out for Loda. So looking towards that Abyssal Blade. He will actually have it right now to replace the Aegis once it goes away. So he is 6-slotted for all intents and purposes.
Yep. Might end up going bots later, but for the most part, he is in more than excellent shape. And yeah, I mean, I don't know that Polar can really try to get too aggressive here. I mean, look at the spike that we've seen. The experience is back to dead even. It was never that much in favor of Polar, but the gold hovering very close on both sides suddenly spikes up into 5-figure range. Roche respawns in 3 minutes, but they still have that cheese as well, I think. Did they end up? Yeah, Bat still got it. So Bulldog can even hand it off to Loda if the Aegis expires or if he has that slot before he grabs well, honestly, he can have the Abyssal right now, so it's irrelevant.
I think you're actually in Rapier territory right now if you're Medusa.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of crazy to say because you haven't even lost a Rax yet, but I think they're going to lose the firepower if they're not able to... Oh, hold on, I thought might see something. Lincoln's popped on the Illidan. Was that the lasso? No, it was just Yules. Okay. That'd be very silly. But if they're not able to burst down the anti-mage throughout Hex, that's one great thing about Hex. I've seen it. He takes a lot of damage when he's Hex because he loses the evasion.
Yep.
So if they're not able to burst him down through the Hex, I don't know if they have enough firepower throughout the entire team fight, just because of how under-farmed this DP is. It's all coming from Medusa and the Puck.
Yeah, I mean, Sacred Relic's up on the Medusa, so Rapier should be on the way one.
Oh, she does have it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
She has the Sacred Relic. But it's a long way to a Demon Edge. 2,000 gold, and I don't know that they have 2,000 gold worth of time left in this game if Alliance takes the initiation properly. And we can see they lose a tier 3 to Illusions. Like, they're going to continue to pressure this, and it's going to be very difficult for them to hold without exposing themselves. And that's kind of the challenge right now. Not to mention, with Loda being as farmed as he is, he can just go do Roche by himself. So they can wait this out, keep checking the pit. There is a ward down from Polar, so they should have some inkling if they decide to move in that direction. But they can keep them pinned up and then just get Loda another Aegis if they want.
Yep, and Ake's splitting the map as well if you're watching. He's been doing this throughout the game. He's just sending us some illusions, being more of a rat that the rest of the team is, in addition to Anti-Mage blinking around, pushing out 2 separate lanes. So every lane is pushed out right now, despite having some deep wards from VP Polar. Not able to do anything really with those wards. And yep, there's the Abyssal Blade with buyback gold to spare here for Loda, so he is ready to rock and roll.
32,000 net worth at 48 minutes in, not bad. 700 GPM currently for him, so running very, very slick in terms of his farming efficiency. And they got to be careful. Bat might go fishing here. He BKBs. There's going to be a Yules to keep the Death Prophet safe. He's eating a lot of damage in the back.
He got maimed. He got maimed, actually.
Yep, and can they get him? There's Song of the Siren to buy him some time. Moonlight Shadow was used as well. I don't think they want to go for this. And in the meantime, though, Loda taking advantage of the fact that everyone's looking elsewhere. A little bit of sleight of hand as now he catches Golblack. Going to work, but he does decide to blink away instead of taking the chance to stand and fight on his own. So they end up having to expend a few abilities. The Naga is still just level 14, so it is going to be a minute and a half, a little bit more than that, until Song is ready to go, and they're not going to feel nearly as comfortable playing as aggressively as they have without it. So a little bit of breathing room for Polar, but still a long fight ahead of them. But, hey, 400 gold, man, and Rapier's on the board.
Rapier has hit the deck, and that'll be pretty good. Looks like Bulldog just wasn't comfortable with the range there. He was blinking and forcing and trying to really force it, but just was not in range, and actually had to use a BKB, which is unfortunate. Is he down to 5 seconds yet? Yeah, 5-second BKB for him, which actually isn't that big of a deal on Batrider because all you really need is the duration of your lasso anyway, so it's not that big a deal, but it's still important.
They couldn't kill the Anti-Mage illusion. That one illusion, only one made it through. Did that much health if you look at the top range racks. That was just one illusion against 3 heroes, and he still got that much damage done. It is becoming an issue. Roche been having issues of his own. Like I said, there's the Rapier. This is it. If they want to go, they got to go now. They have to know this is happening. They all walked right past that ward. Assault Cuirass is done on the Death Prophet as well. They got to go. The Roshan abandoned for now. And it looks like they want to try a little trickeration. Thought for sure they would just try to sweep and take the fight, instead playing much more cautiously. Now Alliance is setting up. Bulldog with an Invis rune. Still has the cheese. Loda, only 6 slotted now. And it looks like Polar just going to back all the way off, not wanting to take any chances. Loda's going right back into the pit, and they're going to give this one away.
Yep, nice movement by Alliance, just kind of feeling it out and seeing the safe time to go. They did respect the, I believe they saw it, right? The Rapier? Either way, they respected the damage output coming out from this Dusa, so.
Yep.
Mirana picks up the Aegis cheese. I'm looking, it's actually on the Crystal Maiden, who has a 4-staff now to go with that Black King bar. Mm-hmm. So very, very powerful for him. We've seen what lucky RNG ultis can do from Crystal Maiden. It's actually a lot of damage.
Yep.
If you do get them some nice procs, so that'll be good for him. And 8 Mother, despite not having very good item progression, this game has only died once, so it hasn't given up too much to the side of VP Polar. I think that's quite important.
Yeah, it's been a really nice game for him, and 8, died once, 8-1 leads the way. Again, the Death Prophet struggles. 7 kills, but 7 deaths as well. Most deaths of anyone outside of Misery, who is living up to his namesake with 11. But
that's a nice casino score, though.
Yeah.
777.
You know it. Loda still keeping this lane pushed in. And this is going to be our second nearly hour-long game of this series. So both of these teams going wire to wire with each other. But the illusions, and then you were talking about this 25 minutes ago. This is just something like, I don't even know how you cope with this. I mean, they're going to try to go out and get Loda. Loda taking a lot of damage. Do they have enough in the tank? They do! They bring him down, and he's down for 100 seconds now. So that charge off of Golblack secures it. He's going to have buyback if he needs it. So only the first step in what's going to be a very long journey for VP, if they actually are going to be able to squeak this out after spending what seems like the last 15 consecutive minutes sitting in their own base.
Yeah, a little bit of uncharacteristically sloppy play there from Loda. He used his Manta illusions already, so he had a chance to get out of there after the Hex, but because he had already used the Manta, the silence was very, very effective from Skywrath, so he actually had nothing that he could do. And like I mentioned, when he is Hexed, he's actually not tanky at all. He loses all that evasion. And yeah, he has a heart, but at this stage of the game, that extra bit of HP doesn't really matter too much. It's mostly about armor, and he doesn't have the highest armor in the world. So he's basically relying on fast attack speed, elusiveness with Blink and Manta, and the evasion. But you lose all that when you get Hexed, so nicely played there from VP Polar.
The issue I have with all of that is all you have to do is keep Ake. You don't have to have Ake in your pocket. Just keep him around. You know, if he shows up with Song, you're fine. I mean, even if you just disengage, it's still well worthwhile. And they're definitely seeing this damage output from the Deuce, and now, my lord. Hitting for, what is that, 5, 6? Coming up on, yeah, 600 some odd damage. 618 or so. They're going to go Exorcism. They're going to go high ground. They have a glyph if they want to use it. Anti-Mage.
They really don't want to use his buyback. He really wants to save this.
I think they're going to get this and go. I don't think they're going to try for Axe. Yep. The rest of them are going to retreat. You may have to just give them up, boys. And here we go. Bulldog actually whipped on the lasso again. And in the meantime, though, Low did get caught from behind. There's going to be the Yules onto one. They're going to try to turn this around. Stone Gaze is active. And they're going to come right back in and just look at the chunks taken out by Illidan. They have to account for him. He's going to be caught from the halberd. Misery came in, but did not get off his ulti. Looked like he popped his BKB and wanted to get it off. They are melting through Alliance. Illidan with that Rapier, just too much. And Bulldog, for the second time, we've seen him do it here in this late game phase. Oh, that's brutal. There you go. I was going to say, surely not. But for the second time, we've seen Bulldog whiff, come up short on very clutch lassos, and it cost him dearly that time because he went in and the fight broke out, and the Deusa was just unaccounted for after the Stone Gaze, and she was just chunking everyone to death.
Chunking kids, man.
Yeah,
oh, there's a
for
DD
real.
up on Loda, though. So we'll see if we can do something with this. It was really weird from Bulldog. I don't know if you saw. Okay, what happened was the sleep came out, the arrow was timed nicely,
right?
But they actually forced out the DP away, so he blinked in on where he thought DP was going to be first.
Yep.
Didn't expect the force. Then he walked in, but he Yules the DP, like instead of lassoing him. I don't know if he meant to do that, but he Yules the DP and kind of like saved him. I don't know. Maybe his hotkeys were wrong, but that seemed very strange to me because there was a Yules that came up. Oh, you know what? Maybe he Yules the Spirit Breaker. That must have been it. Because I saw both of them get Yulesed up, so let me correct myself.
Yep.
As that would seem very, very weird if he Yules a DP, because they both came up in the air.
I don't think it was that. I think it was just, and and again, it's not laying the blame on him as if it's some gigantic misplay because he's not skilled at the game. It's like he just, for the second time again, shorting them. The Force Staff usage are very, very good. Like you said, the Yules coming into play very heavily. But they have to have those lassos. They have to. And honestly, Loda right now is not feeling that strong at the moment. This is going to help. Assault Cuirass done on 8 Mother, so that's nice. Like, that's actually something that's going to, like, what we just saw down at their racks is not necessarily going to be the case the next time they have a 5-man fight. Like, an Assault Cuirass makes such a big difference in this situation.
Yeah, of course. Let me just say, I'm not faulting Bulldog at all for that.
Oh, no,
I think that was just a very nice Force Staff, and I think any player would have blinked in there, and he just got caught off guard because he saw where DP was supposed to be. That's not where DP was when he blinked in, so it was just kind of an unfortunate situation there.
Racks are still close to dropping all over the place for VP right now just because of those illusions that have been so confounding for them for the last 20 minutes or so. Alliance grouped. Looked like they were ready to take a fight, but not going to be the case. VP, in the meantime, going to head elsewhere. Heading down to bottom. The largest gold lead of the game was in the realm of 14,000 in favor of Alliance. That has now been cut more than in half, down to just 6 in favor of them. The experience is actually fairly heavily in favor of Polar now. And there's some bots picked up on the Deuce as well. And let's see how Alliance wants to go about this. Bulldog, again, is going to be the man to watch. They need him to connect on his lasso for these fights to go their way.
Yeah, they really do. They need to not let Loda get focused like we've seen before. Like right now. Sleep or something.
Yep, there's a Force Staff. And still looking for a lasso. Stone Gaze is there. Loda's trying to make a run for it. Gold Black engaged, but Song of the Siren from Ake bailing them out. He's level 15. Now, this is going to be down for 2 minutes because he doesn't have level 3 Song yet. Let's see how much they want to pursue this out, or if they do. Gold Black has a charge. If they can get any sort of bead on someone, Bulldog's going to be able to skirt to safety. They did have a ward in middle, but it looks like they didn't give them the vision they needed to charge and pursue. So now, Exorcism's been expended, as has Song of the Siren, roughly the same cooldown. Song will come off a little bit earlier. And I actually feel like that's okay for Alliance. They were baiting Loda, and it worked out for them fairly well.
Yeah, and this is where the nerf of DP is really felt. It's in the later stages of the game when it's kind of a nail-biter like this. Because after engagements like that, then you can easily regroup and say, let's go fight. Whereas before, there was a little bit of gray area where it's like, is the ult up? I'm not quite sure. And let's just play it safe and err on the side of caution. But now it's more of, let's get more aggressive. We know it's down for a long time.
Loda going to be charged, going to come on in. They're going to try to burst him down. Force Staff gets him out of trouble. Arrow didn't connect on anything. There's going to be a coil that goes down. Gold Black in the meantime, focused down after being hit with the Abyssal Blade. Illidan, though, has been relatively untouched. Okay, has to try to make a run for it. Behind that, we can see a buyback from the Spirit Breaker. Did not charge out as it wasn't off cooldown. So they do get one, and they do force the buyback. But it looks like VP wants to go and try to take this fight. Song of the Siren up in 40 seconds. They catch someone. They did. They got Crystal Main. There's going to be an arrow on the mark that does catch VP. Does catch the DP on the low ground, but it's irrelevant as they get the kill on the Misery. Misery, buyback status is no. And let's see if they can catch anyone else. 8 Mother and Loda making it away down top lane. This is going to be a huge fight. Misery's down for the count. Cannot buy back. They're going to go for the tier 2 here on bottom. And they're going to take it very quickly. But this is going to be some time that I'm sure they wish they had. Moonlight Shadow has been used. And let's see if Alliance wants to come out and try to catch them napping or if they're just going to wait. Looks like they definitely want to reset. The Naga Illusions are actually doing a fantastic job of disrupting what they want to be this push at bottom. 35 seconds now until the Crystal Maiden is back up. Is that a second Rapier? That is.
It is.
That's 2 Rapiers. Oh, here we go. Lasso on the mark this time. They managed to get Lil. Behind that, though, Illidan is just absolutely pecking away. Song of the Siren used fresh off of cooldown from Ake. They're all grouped. This is just buying time. They're going to try to go back on the Lil. There's time for the Yules, though. And now Gold Black coming on back in. They regroup. Ake just being chunked to death. Illidan is there, leading the way. There's going to be a charge. Oh, actually disrupted by the Yules. Loda ready to meet him as he comes back down to the ground, and he's going to end up dropping because of it. 3 times the silence on Loda, but it doesn't matter. They get the tier 3 in the meantime, but look at the damage. Tanky as he is, even hexed or not, Illidan is staying in the back of this fight and is just mowing people down. Now there's going to be the ulti from Misery, but Illidan doesn't care. Misery going to end up being force stabbed. Isn't enough to get it back to safety. He's down again. Lil is still up. It looked like he was going to be down. There's going to be a mana void, but it does nothing. Illidan able to keep himself alive. Bulldog trying to come back in and find someone. Loda's going to work. They're going to get the deuce, and that's going to be a Rapier on the ground. Someone has to get it, and they do. No, it's still there.
8 Mother needs to take it.
Got it.
He's the best Rapier carrier, so there is still a chance here, but there's a secondary Rapier online ready to go once Deucer respawns. He does have buyback on top of that. So still anyone's game. Crazy-ass fights, man. But the damage coming out from Deucer is just ridiculous. The prescription for anti-mage this game was a Rapier for Deucer.
Yep.
And it's done wonders here for VP Polar.
Problem is, you now have to worry about 8 Mother. We've got 2 Rapiers on the map. And let's see what Alliance can do with it against a Rapier of the Deucer. Now, there are no buybacks that have been expended yet for Polar. They do have a handful. Lil can buy back. The Deucer can buy back. As can the Puck. And they're going to have to. There's one. That's Puck. Phobos. 8 Mother. Jeez. Just chunking away. They get 1 Rax for free. Loda's right there out front. Buybacks across the board. It was a 5-man wipe as they chased them out before. Arrow on the mark that caught Phobos. Here comes Gold Black, though. Gold Black on the way. There's going to be a BKB used by Admiral Bulldog. Gold Black way out front. There's going to be a silence that caught him. In the meantime, Bulldog's still looking for a target. He's silenced now. Will be caught with the coil. Okay. Using Song of the Siren one more time. Buying time for the dog. 8 Mother tosses the arrow. Misses. So what could have been a nice pursuit from VP disrupted once again by Ake. And we've got a Rapier on both sides now. 8 Mother the Mirana with the one that was originally dropped, and Deucer with one in her hands. And I just can't wait to see how this game concludes, man. What an exciting match.
Oh, I was muted there for a second.
Roshan's back up, and that's going to be their focus of attention. Arrow shot, arrow misses. They're going to take it very quickly. 8 Mother now has an Aegis to go with his Rapier. And they're going to try to engage. There's going to be the Yules onto the Naga. Does not have Song. Are they going to try to come back out? They are. They're going to work. Loda's in some trouble. Admiral Bulldog there with that lasso, manages to get in. Bulldog still going to work on Loda, and he drops. Loda is down. Now they're going to work on Misery. Illidan still doing work up on the high ground. Now Ape Mother with that Rapier and the Aegis able to leap himself to safety. Behind that, though, Bulldog left behind. Goldblack being pursued out, earned charge, and brought down as a triple kill tallied by Illidan. Loda does not have buyback. He's down for 4 minutes. And let's see if they can do anything about it. The puck just bought back, as did Lil. So Lil's down for the count as well. It'll just be Illidan and Goldblack if they want to try to make something happen. Don't think they do. In fact, they're just going to try to defend as Ape Mother and Bulldog are back on the other side of the river, as is Misery.
Yeah, it was finally a good Crystal Maiden ulti. If you saw right there, it actually did significant amounts of damage. Oh, could we see some aggression here on the Illidan? He's going to pop the ulti.
Bulldog turns his back. And there's going to be the charge. Oh, Ape Mother does manage to Manta. He gets the ulti off. They got it. Aegis is down. Now Bulldog's going to manage to grab Illidan. They're going to try to follow this up. Misery shouldn't have his ulti ready to go. I'm pretty sure it's still on cooldown. It is. In the meantime, Illidan eating damage, but dealing it as well. Ape Mother, if they can catch him, it'll be a second Rapier on the deck. They got him. Got him with the charge. They need one bash. No. Able to leap. RNG's is not on the side of Goldblack this game, and the Mystic Snake not enough behind that, though. The rest of Alliance has showed up and has Illidan within an inch of his life. He has to pull back. Arrow barely splits the wickets, but Misery jumping back forward. May just given his body to this, trying to jump on top of Illidan and get that Rapier on the deck as well. Bulldog in the meantime has no help. There's going to be a Yules on the Goldblack. Now Ake using Song of the Siren.
Their base is dying too at the same time.
Yeah, they're down to the tier 4's Arrow, going to be forced to have to away from by the Skywrath Mage. Speaking of the base, how about tier 4's? Only one still standing and not for long. Ape Mother managed to survive through all of this with less than 200 HP by the time I caught up with him. Probably less than 3 digits at one point or another. Madness and pandemonium in this game. 2 Rapiers remain split up, and it's anyone's game.
I think Ape Mother really needs... Oh, no, he's going for Satanic. I think he really needs an MKB to just be able to cut through this the butterfly evasion from Medusa to really just get the full effectiveness out of this Rapier.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's not going to go for it, though. So maybe he just feels desperation. He wants to buy something right now because he feels like he can't go to the secret shop. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, that would have been very, very good for them. And I like this decision. I was going to talk about this. Medusa now has a BKB, so this annoying song is
hang on. We're going to have an initiation on the Phobos. They're going right to work with him. They're going to be able to bring him down right off the bat. However, Loda in trouble, getting pecked away in the back, and there's going to be the bash. Knocking a bat. Bulldog's down. Ake's down. Ape Mother is down. Rapier on the deck. Ball game as Polar gets a fight when they need it. And Ape Mother standing proud as long as he could. The damage output from that Medusa just too much. And this one, a back and forth affair that looked like it could have gone on as a seesaw for a while, instead ends in the blink of an eye. As the reaction from Polar to the attempted initiation of Bulldog on the money. 1 hour, 5 minutes of time it took. And man, that might be the best match I've commentated in months. So much fun.
Man, I didn't see it going that way, and I think for that reason, too, I have to agree with you. I love casting games, just watching games where you think it's totally going to go one way and it goes the other way. Wow. Fantasy points all around, 19 for the Mirana. It's ridiculous. And actually 16.5 second highest for the support Spirit Breaker. I think it has to do with like assists or something. But yeah. Nonetheless, as I said, prescription for anti-mage for Illidan was that Rapier. Just paid dividends. And I was going to talk about it, but I didn't have time. But Ake was able to just stop the bleeding for a long time just with these nice Song of the Sirens.
Oh, yeah.
To just buy some time. As soon as that ulti was popped from Illidan, he popped that Song of the Siren every single time and was able to stop the bleeding for a little bit, but it just wasn't enough, as the damage output from the AoE of the split shot was just too much with the Medusa having a Rapier. Fantastically played by Virtus.Pro Polar, but on top of that, I still have to say that this is one of the more shaky times I've seen Alliance play today.
For sure.
They seem to be a team that really likes to play into the late game and do it well with heroes like Anti-Mage, but definitely one of the more sloppy performances, I'm sorry I have to say, just in general from Alliance today.
Well, I think one of the big questions is going to be, and by the way, we do have a second best of 3 coming up. This is the front end of a VP Polar doubleheader. I'm sure we're going to give them a little bit of a break, finishing a best of 3 that did go over time. We're more than 40 minutes behind schedule as of right now, so very sorry for that. Obviously, can't help it whenever things get epic and the game time tends to inflate. But we don't know when Gold Black's going to stop playing with Polar. I'm not even going to try to conjecture. This could be his last day playing with Polar, but if it is, he's certainly going to walk out with at least one nice win. They're going to try to make it 2 in a row as they look ahead to Cloud9 coming up probably in about 10 to 15 minutes. Thanks so much for being tuned into the broadcast, guys. I'm AC. That's Tralf. You can find us both on Twitter. I'm at AC, at AYESEE. He's at TralfDota, TRALFDOTA. And, of course, the D2L, found on Facebook and Twitter as well, at D2LGG for both of those. And make sure you follow there, as well as here on the stream for all of your updates. Don't want you to miss a minute of the action, as our schedule is absolutely packed for the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're talking, 50 best of 3s, something redonk that we're going to be knocking out in about the next 14 to 18 days. So make sure, again, you follow on Facebook and Twitter so you don't miss any of the updates.